How to Learn Words. Lily stared at her English textbook, a knot of anxiety tightening in her stomach. She knew countless grammar rules and a vast dictionary of words, yet the moment someone spoke to her, her mind went blank. The fear of making mistakes was a heavy shadow, preventing her from ever truly opening her mouth and letting words flow naturally. It was her biggest hurdle. She often wondered how to learn words effectively beyond just memorizing lists. Every new vocabulary item felt like another brick in a wall, not a tool for building bridges of communication. She could read complex articles, but when it came to forming coherent sentences on the spot, especially in spoken English, she faltered. This disconnect was deeply frustrating. The question, how to talk in English, haunted her. It felt like a secret code only others possessed. She observed fluent speakers with awe, asking herself, how people speak English so effortlessly? Their conversations seemed like a rapid river, while her own thoughts were a slow, stagnant pond. This gap felt insurmountable at times. Every attempt to speak resulted in stumbles, awkward pauses, and the inevitable "why I always make mistakes" voice echoing in her head. This self-criticism was paralyzing. She would rehearse sentences silently, but the moment she had to speak spontaneously, everything dissolved into a jumbled mess. Her confidence plummeted with each failed attempt. Lily felt trapped in a loop. She understood the theoretical, how to learn English, study, practice, repeat. But the practical application, especially the speaking part, remained elusive. Her efforts often left her more discouraged than empowered, wondering if she was simply not cut out for becoming truly fluent in this global language. One day, she stumbled upon an online community focused on language exchange. A mentor there, Alex, shared a different perspective. Forget perfection, embrace communication, he advised. His first tip: listen English constantly, not just for comprehension, but for rhythm, intonation, and natural phrasing. It's not passive background noise. Alex emphasized that understanding how people speak English isn't about mimicking every word, but internalizing the flow. He suggested specific listening exercises, like finding podcasts on topics she genuinely enjoyed, even if she only understood fragments initially. The goal was immersion, allowing the language to wash over her, gradually making sense. He encouraged her to start with short, engaging content, perhaps YouTube videos or simple news reports. Don't just listen passively, he urged. Try to repeat what you hear, even if it's just a phrase. This shadowing technique bridges the gap between listening and speaking, activating your mouth muscles and improving pronunciation. Next came the dreaded start step-by-step talking. Alex didn't demand fluent conversations immediately. Begin with simple self-talk, he suggested. Describe your day aloud to yourself. Talk about what you see, what you feel. No pressure, no judgment. Just get comfortable with the sound of your own voice speaking English. This self-talk felt awkward at first, a strange monologue in her quiet room. But gradually, Lily noticed a subtle shift. The words felt less foreign on her tongue. It was a private space to experiment, to make mistakes without embarrassment, and to build a foundational comfort level before facing actual human interaction. Alex then introduced the concept of how to talk to people in pairs. He connected her with another learner, a kind and patient woman named Sarah, who was also struggling with speaking. Their first few sessions were hesitant, filled with pauses and laughter, but the shared vulnerability created a safe environment. Remember, Alex had told her, mistakes are not failures, they are feedback. Why I always make mistakes should transform into how can I learn from this mistake? Every error is a sign that you are pushing your boundaries, actively using the language, which is precisely what leads to fluency. Their conversations, though imperfect, were real. They discussed their days, their hobbies, their frustrations with English. Sarah and Lily practiced asking questions and giving simple answers, focusing on getting their message across, not on grammatical perfection. This practical application significantly boosted Lily's confidence and fluency. Alex shared invaluable talking tips. He advised them to prepare a few go-to phrases for common situations, to ask open-ended questions to keep conversations flowing, and to always listen actively to their conversation partner. Don't just wait for your turn to speak, he stressed, truly engage with what they are saying. Another critical tip was to embrace repetition. When you learn a new phrase, Alex explained, use it multiple times in different contexts. This helps cement it in your memory and makes it accessible for spontaneous conversation. Don't be afraid to recycle your vocabulary and grammar patterns. He also encouraged them to keep a mistake journal. Instead of dwelling on errors, they would note them down and research the correct usage later. This systematic approach helped Lily identify her common pitfalls, allowing her to proactively work on them, turning weaknesses into strengths over time. Lily started consciously observing how people speak English around her. She noticed how native speakers used filler words naturally, how their intonation conveyed meaning, and how they structured their sentences in real time. This observation became a powerful, informal learning tool, complementing her structured studies. The fear of silence, she learned, was often worse than the silence itself. Alex advised them to take a breath, to think for a second, rather than rushing into an incorrect answer or staying completely mute. It's okay to pause, he assured them. It's part of natural conversation, not a sign of failure. Gradually, Lily felt more comfortable how to talk to people in pairs. Their regular sessions became something she looked forward to, not dreaded. She realized that learning a language was a marathon, not a sprint, and consistency in practice, even short bursts, yielded significant improvements over time. She learned that how to learn words effectively involved using them. Instead of just writing down definitions, she started creating personal sentences, associating new words with her own experiences. This active engagement made vocabulary retention far more robust and facilitated their retrieval during conversations. Alex's philosophy on how to learn English was holistic, combining active listening, deliberate speaking practice, and a positive mindset. He believed that the emotional aspect, overcoming fear and building confidence, was just as crucial as grammatical accuracy and vocabulary acquisition. It was a game-changer for Lily. As her confidence grew through pair practice, Alex suggested expanding her interaction. Now it's time to learn how to talk with anyone, he declared. He encouraged her to join online discussion groups, participate in virtual meetups, and even find local English conversation clubs in her city. This transition felt daunting initially. Interacting with multiple people, especially native speakers, seemed like a massive leap from her comfortable one-on-one sessions. However, the foundational skills she had built through self-talk and pair practice provided a surprisingly solid platform for this new challenge. She reminded herself of Alex's advice: everyone makes mistakes. Even native speakers stumble. Why I always make mistakes is a thought, not a reality that defines your progress. Focus on conveying your message, not on achieving an impossible level of perfection in every single sentence. Lily decided to apply "let me tell you" talking tips she had learned. She started conversations with prepared opening lines, asked follow-up questions to show interest, and practiced summarizing what others said to ensure she understood. These strategies helped her navigate group dynamics with greater ease. The focus shifted from simply how to learn words to how to use words meaningfully. She paid attention to collocations and natural phrases, integrating them into her speech. This allowed her to sound more natural and less like she was translating directly from her native language in her head. Her listen English habit continued to deepen. She began to pick up on subtle nuances, sarcasm, and cultural references that she previously missed. This enhanced listening comprehension, in turn, made her a better, more responsive speaker, capable of engaging in more complex and nuanced discussions. The concept of how people speak English transformed from an intimidating mystery into an observable, learnable skill. She noticed varying accents, different conversational styles, and adapted her own approach accordingly, becoming a more flexible and empathetic communicator in diverse settings. Her journey was a testament to start step-by-step talking. From isolated words to simple sentences, then to pair conversations, and finally to engaging in group discussions, each stage built upon the last, making the seemingly impossible task of fluency achievable through consistent, manageable steps. Lily even started consciously practicing how to talk to people in pairs with different partners, intentionally seeking out people with varied accents and communication styles. This diversification broadened her exposure and made her less reliant on a single conversational comfort zone, preparing her for any interaction. The fear of "why I always make mistakes" began to dissipate. She realized that most people were incredibly supportive and understanding, especially when she made an effort to communicate. They valued her attempt, not her perfection, which liberated her from the constant pressure of being flawless. Her approach to how to learn English became less about rigid rules and more about practical application. She understood that language was a living entity, meant to be used and experienced, not just studied in isolation. This shift in mindset fueled her continued progress and enjoyment of the process. She regularly reminded herself of Alex's "let me tell you" talking tips, particularly the one about active listening and asking clarifying questions. This ensured that she wasn't just speaking but truly interacting, building rapport and understanding with her conversation partners in every exchange. Lily's transformation was gradual but profound. She no longer froze when asked a question. Her responses, while not always perfect, were increasingly fluent and confident. The gap between her internal knowledge and her external expression was rapidly shrinking with each passing week. How to learn words now involved actively seeking out new vocabulary within contexts she cared about, like her favorite TV shows or articles related to her hobbies. This made learning enjoyable and the words immediately useful, cementing their meaning in a practical, memorable way. The concept of how to talk in English became less about flawless grammar and more about effective communication. She learned that a clear message, even with minor errors, was infinitely more valuable than silent, perfect knowledge. This realization empowered her greatly. She continued to listen English every single day, varying her sources from news broadcasts to comedy sketches. This consistent exposure improved her ability to understand different accents and speaking speeds, making her a more versatile listener in any situation she encountered. Her success was a direct result of step-by-step talking. She hadn't tried to sprint to fluency but had patiently walked, then jogged, building stamina and skill with each incremental stride, celebrating small victories along the way instead of waiting for perfection. The power of how to talk to people in pairs couldn't be overstated. These dedicated practice sessions provided a low-stakes environment for experimentation, receiving immediate feedback, and building the conversational muscle memory necessary for more complex interactions in larger groups. She internalized the truth: why I always make mistakes is a temporary state. With persistent effort and a willingness to learn from errors, one can overcome them. Mistakes became signposts on her path to fluency, indicating areas for improvement rather than reasons for despair. Alex's constant encouragement, "Let me tell you talking tips," had been instrumental. He emphasized confidence over perfection, urging her to speak despite fear. His advice to focus on communicating her message, rather than agonizing over every grammatical detail, was truly liberating for her. Her ability to how to talk with anyone became a reality, not just a distant dream. She engaged in conversations at local events, with tourists, and even during international work calls. Each new interaction was an opportunity to practice, learn, and grow her confidence even further. Lily realized that how to learn English was an ongoing journey, not a destination. There would always be new words, new phrases, and new nuances to discover. But she no longer felt overwhelmed. Instead, she embraced the continuous learning process with enthusiasm and curiosity. The transformation in her perception of how people speak English was remarkable. Instead of comparing herself negatively, she saw others as models and inspiration, observing their techniques and incorporating them into her own burgeoning communication style, continuously refining her approach. Her newfound confidence also translated into how to learn words more efficiently. Because she was actively using the language, new vocabulary stuck much faster. Words learned in context during a conversation were far more memorable than those from a static list. This was a revelation. The key, she concluded, was consistency and courage. Step-by-step talking was the undeniable path. It wasn't about a magic pill but about showing up every day, making small efforts, and building momentum through incremental, deliberate practice. This philosophy propelled her forward. Listen English became less of a chore and more of a pleasure. She could now follow complex narratives, understand jokes, and appreciate the subtleties of native speech. This deep comprehension made her feel truly connected to the language and its rich cultural contexts. The structured approach of how to talk to people in pairs provided the necessary scaffolding for her conversational skills. It built a strong foundation, allowing her to transition seamlessly into larger group settings, armed with practical experience and a growing sense of self-assurance. Reflecting on why I always make mistakes, Lily understood that it was her biggest mental block. Once she accepted errors as natural parts of the learning curve, rather than personal failings, her progress accelerated dramatically. This shift in mindset was absolutely paramount. Her journey highlighted that let me tell you talking tips were not just abstract concepts but actionable strategies. Applying them consistently transformed her from a hesitant learner into a confident speaker, ready to engage in any English conversation that came her way. Truly remarkable. Finally, the dream of how to talk in English fluently had become her reality. She spoke with ease, expressed complex thoughts, and enjoyed social interactions in English without the crushing fear she once harbored. Her transformation was a testament to perseverance. She looked back at her initial struggles and realized the immense progress she had made. From muttering apologies to confidently sharing opinions, her voice had found its power. This journey wasn't just about language, it was about personal growth and conquering self-doubt. Her story became an inspiration for others in the language community. She shared her experience, emphasizing the importance of active practice, embracing imperfections, and finding supportive learning environments. Her advice resonated deeply with fellow struggling learners worldwide. Lily's transformation proved that how to learn English is accessible to everyone, regardless of their starting point. It requires dedication, the right strategies, and crucially, the courage to just start speaking, even if it feels terrifying at first. The rewards are truly limitless. So, if you're asking how to talk with anyone or how to learn words effectively, remember Lily's journey. Start small, listen actively, practice with pairs, and never let the fear of mistakes hold you back. Your English fluency journey begins the moment you decide to speak.